Hey guys, Joel's coming at you with another reasoning sesh where I challenge the status quo of the wisdom of the world and the church by diving deep into the ancient scriptures, uncovering meanings glossed over by translations and traditions, really cutting to the core of the metaphysical aspects of these ancient texts and applying them practically to situations in our present day so that we can manifest our best life yet and enter into Earth 2.0. And today I'm going to be talking about how Yeshua actually did turn stones into bread. Let's have a look.
Come now and let us reason together. Come now, we can talk it over.
But hey, if you like these videos, smash that like button and subscribe for more, because as we accelerate forward with a foundation like we've been laying in this time, there will literally be nothing to stop the kingdom of heaven from manifesting in the earth, as it already has begun in many of our lives. And we just got to be anchored in that same state of being and keep on manifesting that reality in our lives. And pretty soon the old reality is just going to fizzle out. And talking about entering into a totally different era, that actually ties right into our text, which comes from the account of when Yeshua was tempted by Satan in the wilderness before he began his ministry. And this account is recorded in both the 4th chapter of the Evangelion according to Matthaiou and the 4th chapter of the Evangelion according to Luke. Talk about some synchronicity. But I'm just going to read from the Evangelion of Matthaiou here, where it says that then Jesus was led up of the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil. And when he had fasted 40 days and 40 nights, he was afterward a-hungered. And when the tempter came to him, he said, If you are the Son of God, command that these stones be made bread. But he answered and said, It is written, Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God. Now, before I get into explaining where he's quoting from, it's interesting that Satan actually said to him, If you are the Son of God, command that these stones be made bread. And think about it, it wouldn't be a temptation if it wasn't possible. So where did Satan actually see this happen before? Who was the original Son of God? Well, that was Adam in the Garden of Eden. And that literally is our heritage when we actually access that state of being and forsake that duality paradigm of the knowledge of good and evil. But when Yeshua answered him, he's actually quoting a verse from Devarim, or Deuteronomy, which is the second giving of the law of Moses, which was reiterated to the children of Israel after their 40 years of wandering in the wilderness. 40 years, 40 days. And there are verses that actually say that one day will represent a year. There are many instances of this throughout the scriptures. But let's see what Moshe Rabbeinu, or Moses, actually said to the children of Israel in regards to this quote. And he, Yahweh, humbled you and suffered you to hunger and fed you with manna, which you knew not, neither did your fathers know, that he might make you know that man does not live by bread only, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Yahweh does man live. In the Evangelion according to Ioannou, or John, when the Jews said to Yeshua, Our fathers did eat manna in the desert, as it is written, He gave them bread from heaven to eat, Yeshua answers them and says, Verily, verily, I say unto you, Moses gave you not that bread from heaven, but my Father gives you the true bread from heaven. For the bread of God is he which comes down from heaven and gives life unto the world. And going back to the very opening chapter of Ioannou, it actually says that in him, in the living Logos, was life, and that life was the light of men. So when they ask him, Lord, evermore give us this bread, Yeshua answers them and says, I am the bread of life. He that comes to me shall never hunger, and he that believes on me shall never thirst. Then he goes on to say how he came down from heaven not to do his own will, but the will of him who sent him. So the tempter was trying to get Yeshua in his temptation to actually concede to the physical circumstance and say, I need the physical bread to sustain myself. But Yeshua was looking way past that and saying, what is the real bread? The bread of life that sustains me. And Yeshua actually took stones and turned them to living bread. How do I say that? Well, check it out. The original law given to Moses was actually written on stone tablets. And when Christ came, he took those letters written in stone and he made them alive. And it even says in the oracles of Iħezq'el twice, He says, I will give them one heart, and I will put a new spirit within you, and I will take the stony heart out of their flesh, and will give them a heart of flesh. Talking about the same thing. That law that was written in stone will be written in our hearts, where we're not struggling to keep it because the letter says this, and if we do this, we're going to get this result. It's not going to work that way when we're convicted from our heart space and actually just be that. We just become that as a byproduct of tapping into this higher dimension. And that, my friends, is how Christ literally turns those stones of legalism into the bread of life. So it's always like this. Source is always one step ahead of the accuser, but we got to step into that paradigm so that the accuser is no longer one step ahead of us. So tap into that, really get to know the bread of life. Ingest that, let that become part of your very being, and you too will enter into a new stage of manifesting from that dimension, creating physical outcomes from that state of being. That's what it's all about when we have the mind of Christ. So we tap into that, get that heart of flesh, and really step into the true authority, that true power that was always our birthright. Since Adam forfeited it, but Christ allows us to take a hold of that and seize it again and literally walk in that state of being above all principalities, all powers, all dominions, all mights, all manipulation, all fear-mongering, all forms of control. We are far above that. And we can all tap into that space right now. So I love you guys. I'll check you in another reasoning sesh. Joel signing out once again. Agape. Salaam. Namaste. Shalom.